第一电视接下来播出的是达赖喇嘛特报。
欢迎您收看《流亡中的自在》专访达赖喇嘛特别报道，我是刘姿玲。在我们曾经播出的独家专访当中呢，达赖喇嘛提到了他之所以做出政教分离的决定，是为了让西藏走向民主。而在2011年高票当选西藏行政中央新领导人的是年仅44岁的第2代藏人洛桑森格。壹电视呢这一次远赴达兰萨拉，就为您独家专访到了这位被誉为是藏人奥巴马的青年才俊。此外呢，在这一节节目当中，我们也即将要为您深入介绍达兰萨拉这个位于印度边境的小山城，如何从一个流亡藏人的聚居地，变成了藏传佛教跟西藏文化的传承中心。而说到了洛桑森格这位呢流亡藏人的新领导人，他在2011年8月8号正式的从达赖喇嘛的手中接下了政治权力的棒子。洛桑森格呢是一位哈佛的法学博士，藏人选择洛桑森格无非也是呢着眼于他的国际视野以及非宗教精英的身份。但是踩着达赖喇嘛的脚步前进并不容易。洛桑森格呢接受壹电视专访的时候坦诚，一开始他的确受到了质疑，但政教分离是达赖喇嘛的远见，也逐渐获得了藏人的接受。他会从达赖喇嘛的身上学习，担起重任，带领西藏继续的往前走。
Well, my parents fled Tibet in 1959. And, my father also fought against the Chinese army. My uncle was sent back, he never came, he never returned to India. So, I have a bit of history in both from mother's side and father's side, who fought in the, who resisted the invasion and occupation of Tibet. Then I grew up and I was born and brought up in a very small village. This is, amidst cows and chicken and, I've, spent many vacations going to forests, cutting wood for home and, cutting grass for cows. So I've done all that. I grew up in a humble background. Went to Tibetan refugee school in Darjeeling, another beautiful hill station. And I grew up like any other refugees with very limited facilities. Lentil soup and rice every day for dinner. One pair of pants, maybe at most 2 pair of pants as a uniform. 1 or 2 shirts like that, 1 bata shoe, very limited. Hardly had money in my pockets. Tibetan books actually, related to Tibet. And actually I'm yet to bring all my books from the US. But you work hard, you get through. Then went to Delhi University and became very active in Tibetan movement. One, I read an old interview by His Holiness in some newspaper where he has said, in the future, we the Tibetan people will have lawyers, doctors, engineers. He said so. And I said, oh, that's what we should be, because we didn't have lawyers, engineers and doctors like before. So that was in my head. And then also, I've been politically quite active. And if you have a law background, it helps you articulate your case. You advocate, you fight for rights. And also I've got some backhand compliment. So, our issue is so tough and our opponent is so strong. What we need is lawyer. I don't know whether that's a compliment or not, because given the, tough situation, they thought we equally need tough lawyers, But mainly, actually, I wanted to understand, law, international law, constitutional law. And then, and I think I did the right thing, that's what I think, at least, because I didn't pursue, engineering or, medicine, so I don't know, but I think I did the right thing. So I got Fulbright scholarship to go to Harvard Law School, and there now I spent the last 16 years. I did my master's in law and doctor of law, and then appointed as a fellow, senior fellow, till last year. And then when Tibetans elected me, and I decided to leave America, leave my job, and return to Dharamsala, another beautiful place, to work for Tibetan people. So I'm glad I'm here, and it's a great honor that Tibetans voted for me and trusted me, and I'm working very hard, and I'm determined to work hard to make realized aspirations of the Tibetan people. My father could not return to Tibet, and but I'll work very hard that his spirit will return, and I will return along with all other Tibetans, and Tibet inside and outside Tibet will meet one day in Lhasa, the capital city of Tibet.
You talk about the looking forward, moving forward, and people will regard you as President Obama in America. So how do you regard yourself? Do you have the movement to change, or what does the change, this word, mean to you or to the Tibetan people?
Well, there are elements and factors and issues that ought to change, and there are again factors and issues and projects and policies that ought to continue. So I'm in between. I have to maintain continuity, at the same time take steps towards changes where necessary. So traditional yet modern. So I have to maintain this balance. In several ways, yes, because our elder generation Tibetans, those who came to Tibet, those who came to India after losing our homeland Tibet, they started as road builders. Actually, they built some of the highways of Sikkim and Dalhousie and Manali. That's how they started. They worked very hard and built this administration, built the Tibetan movement for so many years. And because of their hard work, and we have succeeded in many ways. And then my responsibility is to continue the successes and the contribution and the sacrifice made by elder generation. So that is my responsibility, and while doing so, and introduce innovative mechanisms to make our administration and our issues, our cause much more effective, much more stronger. So that's my responsibility. So many things to move forward, but continuing what we have is also moving forward, because this is in itself, it's quite an achievement by the elder generation. So these are the volumes actually, of previous debates in the parliament, Tibetan parliament.
So you still study where your work?
Kinda, I read some, I have to read some, got the idea.
There is a spiritual leader, the one and the only, His Holiness Dalai Lama. And people in Tibet, some people would think these have conflicts, that we used to have the society combine religion and politics together, but now we try to get it separately. But is it better for us, or maybe people tend to, the old days, they trying to figure out which one is better for them, or maybe they don't want to change, but actually His Holiness and some people like revolutionaries are trying very hard to get the revolution. So, well, everything has pros and cons, So, what's your opinion?
Well, when His Holiness Dalai Lama decided to transfer all his political authority to a democratically elected leader, so there was a lot of anxiousness, and many people appealed to him. In fact, I think almost unanimously, and I was one of them. because I was also concerned how can we have a system without His Holiness Dalai Lama as both our spiritual and political leader. But it was only, he insisted, despite our persistent appeals, and then we had to go through the process where we separated the spiritual authority from the political authority, and His Holiness is our most revered leader, and I am the political leader now. Yes, we all felt, it was too soon, but His Holiness insisted, and it was His Holiness' vision, and we abided by. But now in retrospect, in 1 year time, he made the announcement in March 10th last year, and now a little more than a year, it looks like now people are gradually accepting. They have calmed down a lot. The anxiousness it seems no more, at least to majority, and the acceptance of my role as a political leader has been also quite overwhelming by wherever I went. Not because it's because of me actually, but because this is the vision of His Holiness, and this is where we should move forward. And I think Tibetan people as a whole agree that eventually we have to stand on our own feet as people and lead the movement forward. So that we agree, and sooner the better, and especially when His Holiness is very much healthy and he's there, and so for wisdom and experience. So I think in some ways, if we do it right, then this could be the best of the both worlds. So we have separated. So it's in transition. It's a new phase in that sense. Yet His Holiness is around. As he himself said, as a Tibetan, even though as a political leader I've given up all my political authority, but as a Tibetan I will remain part of the Tibetan cause. So, and then he has 60 plus years of experience as a leader, so you can always gain his wisdom and experience. But he makes it very clear whenever I meet him, I'll give you my my views, but you have to decide and live with the consequences, because now it's no more His Holiness' decision, it's my decision. So, and he's a very democrat in his belief, so he really wants this transition and the separation to take hold and then consolidate and become as strong as possible. So yes, Tibetans are also gradually accepting, especially inside Tibet also. So we all are moving forward, and 1 year since His Holiness gave up his political power has been without much obstacles. So we hope to continue this phase. Yes.